Enforcement of federal immigration laws here in the metro, this time in Bellevue, drawing a lot of law enforcement.
We first told you about this breaking story from the First Alert 6 Alert Center. Now, our Ron Johnson picks up the story from here. He's live in the newsroom. Ron, you were at the scene today.
Aaron and Jacqueline, that's right. We were preparing to interview a senior agent with ICE this morning to talk about last week's raid at an employer in South Omaha. But that interview was canceled after that agent's attention was given to an investigation down in Bellevue. We were kept several hundred yards from the scene at an apartment complex near 25th and Chandler. The FBI and agents from ICE were there looking for a man. Bellevue and Omaha police were asked to help on the perimeter. People at the apartments tell me officers swarmed the building looking for someone. There was a commotion inside and the man ran off. He was apprehended after more than an hour-long search. This comes a week after ICE raided the Glen Valley Foods in South Omaha. Before today's incident, ICE told First Alert 6 that they want to make it clear why it is focused on getting after certain people in the country illegally. We're told about 70 people taken into custody here last week used stolen identities from more than 100 people, and there are real victims in that crime. Two examples: someone in Colorado had their income falsely increased due to someone using their identity to work at Glen Valley Foods. The victim had to pay the IRS $5,000 because of that. And a Californian who had been working nearly 15 years to regain their identity and fix financial damage done by someone working at Glen Foods. Now back to today's incident for a moment. We are still waiting to learn why they were after that person and whether anyone was injured in the incident. Live in the newsroom, Ron Johnson, First Alert 6.
All right, thanks for that update, Ron. We appreciate it.